Hi everyone and welcome to my YouTube channel. Today I've made it out to Walton-on-the-Naze for a sunrise shoot, but the cloud is rolled in, the wind is really strong, so yes, typical conditions for a landscape photography trip out, but a great new location to come and explore. Lovely sort of sandy sea cliffs along the shoreline here. But as the tide's rolling in, can't obviously get out to that at the moment. But what a really interesting compositions there are around here. So hopefully we'll have a good day shoot today. First composition that I've got set up here is looking down these steps down to the beach with the waves crashing in, making for a really interesting composition. So I've got the camera set up in vertical orientation and taking about a 4 or 5 image panoramic across at about f11 ISO 100 and about half a second shutter speed, as the waves are really sort of crashing in here. It's quite windy and right exposed out to sea, that possibly even there's a rain shower that's heading my way as well, which is going to be great obviously. But really enjoying the composition, as I say, with the leading lines of the steps going down, the sea cliffs on the left hand side of the image as well, looking out across to obviously the port of Felixstowe as well in the background, with obviously the lights as well. So I've taken this image before sunrise itself because I wanted that sort of glow of the lights in the background to obviously emphasize it as well. Now there's some really interesting objects in the actual sea here as well, because from my understanding, obviously there's been a lot of coastal erosion around here over the years, and there's a lot of the World War II pillboxes that were obviously part of the coastal defences, but unfortunately now with coastal erosion have obviously been swept out to sea. So you can just see the tops of them. High tide is not until an hour after sunrise, but you can still see some of the objects around here. So yeah, I may have not necessarily timed this shoot correctly. I did want it obviously for sunrise, but maybe obviously as the tide is retreating there'll be some few compositions to obviously capture at the same time. But yeah, for this one, first of all, working out really interesting. There's another one back down the other way, so let's go and try and find that one now. So making it down to this groin now for my next composition. Really enjoying this one because there was quite a large break in the clouds and allowing some of the lovely sort of higher atmosphere clouds being lit up by the rising sun to shine through. So obviously got the lovely groin pattern here, leading out obviously to the left and then sort of zigzagging you back round to the left hand side of the composition is where the obviously gap in the cloud was, and highlighting some of the sea as well, which is again sort of adding into that composition. So yeah, really interesting for this one. Now I've got the camera again set up on 18mm f11, about 1/15 of a second is my base image, however bracketing one stop either side because of that dynamic range I wanted to capture. This side of the groins is very, very dark in comparison to where the highlights of the sun or that gap in the cloud was breaking through. So yeah, it's making sure that you've obviously got all of that information in the camera, so that when you get back to the computer you can obviously work on it in post-production. But yeah, really enjoying this composition, this groin. As I was coming down the steps first thing in the dark, I could see this composition. I thought, yeah, great, let's have a look around for something else, but I definitely wanted to get a shot of this one. I think there's at least one, if not another two compositions that I can actually get out of this groin here as well. So yeah, always a bonus when you find one composition that you can work and manipulate into different obviously images. So yes, hopefully that'll work out really well. I've got to work quick now. The light is really coming through, lovely. So I'm quickly setting up with this next composition of the groin. Ah, come on, come on, come on. Oh, I think I've missed that one. So, lining up with the composition of this groin down here, working out really quite nicely on the right hand side rule of thirds, with the end of the groin right at one of the intersection points. And I was hoping that the break in a cloud would last for a little bit longer than it did. This is only less than about 30 seconds, because the break in a cloud happened, the sun popped through, worked out really, really lovely, but unfortunately it didn't last, and I'm not sure that I've actually captured the image. So yeah, have to have a look on the back of the camera and back in post-production for that one. But that's the thing, sometimes wearing gloves where it's so windy and cold today, a bit of a hindrance sometimes, but having cold fingers is also a hindrance. I don't really want to drop the camera on the concrete and end up breaking another lens. That's I don't think the wife would be too pleased about that at all. The final composition that I've got up with this groin is swap the camera over into vertical orientation and taking about a 4 or 5 image panoramic. Really enjoying this one. I've got the horizon line a bit above the actual end of the groin, because I really don't want that sort of intersection, don't really like that in compositions. So I've made sure, obviously, with the camera on the height that it is, it's obviously the end of the groin is dropped down below the horizon line. But panning across and having the horizon line in pretty much the middle of the composition. Now, is that right? Is that wrong? Well, to be honest, I'm enjoying it, so that's the main thing really, because I'm loving also the detail of the sky. 50% in the sky and 50% of the image is made up of the foreground, and that's what I'm really enjoying about this. The light's obviously popping through now, so yeah, obviously highlighting the scene really, really nicely, and obviously leading up some of the sides of the groin here, where it's obviously wet and the waves are really sort of crashing in here. Really interesting morning today, really dramatic with the sky, with the winds, with the waves. Really, really interesting and really enjoyable. And it's getting out in these challenging conditions, making sure that you're able to capture it as best you can. but also more importantly making sure you keep the spray off the end of the lens as well, which particularly back down at the first composition I had was a bit of a challenge there. But yeah, really enjoying it this morning, really enjoying it. So I've got the Naze tower there, really interesting feature of the landscape around here, and one that I can remember from my childhood, because it's probably a good sort of 15 to 20 odd years that I've actually been here. So yeah, really enjoyable to actually come back and see the area and capture some of the images that I was able to do this morning as well. And I think coming back to a location where you haven't been for many years, or photographically speaking I haven't been here at all, it's really enjoyable to find what compositions there is there on offer as well. So hopefully you've really enjoyed today's vlog. What an interesting location, and now typical, isn't it, the light comes out when you've obviously packed all your photographic equipment away, but hey ho, that's always the way, isn't it? But hopefully, as I say, you've really enjoyed it today. If you have, please make sure you give it a thumbs up, please make sure you leave us a comment, as I really do enjoy those comments, and until next time, take care.